I was here outside and like a lot of people were just calling it a fintech panel. Where is fintech panel happening? It's happening here, but it's not a fintech panel. I think we have a very diverse set of people here, leaders across different parts of the industry, looking at insurance, segregation, payments, a lot of different things coming together. So I think it'll be more interesting than just a fintech panel. So thank you all for joining us, and would look forward to hearing some of the stories that you have been telling me there back in the yard about how you and your teams have been using analytics and insights to generate and make impact on the revenue as well as user experience. So we'll start with our first question. I'll start with Monica. Monica, you have basically like a very vast experience in traditional banking and then or traditional payments banking sort of domain and then more modern as well. So I think one question that we generally see is onboarding customers is the toughest part for this industry because it requires a lot of steps and a lot of friction, as you would see from your side, right? So what are the things that you have seen which have made things easier in terms of onboarding of customers?
I've actually just taught this subject as we are speaking, so comes with experience. My first job was actually to optimize an onboarding page for a payment firm. So, coming from those days where the major decision was whether a user needs to have a guest experience or a logged in experience, I think we've come a long way. Most of the financial journeys right now are optimized in terms of asking for less information, but be doing more with that information. And I think that's the major difference, because with a lot of the government related initiatives as well as digital rails that have been put in place, now verification itself has become a step which is an important part of the financial journey, but it can be done almost upfront. And what that helps us to do is to make sure that what we are getting in terms of quality of users is fairly optimized. Now, the bigger challenge for most people in the room right now would be, how do we make these users quality users? Instead of getting the riffraff and onboarding that North Star metric, which used to be the number of users. So the onboarding journey has been optimized in terms of getting more on top of the funnel to getting a better quality first at the top of the funnel and then getting a better quality at the bottom. That's number one. And number two, in terms of financial experience altogether, we've come to the digitization piece where the 0 to 1 experience of actually onboarding has significantly changed. We don't need to worry about how to take a user from one step of the user journey to the other. The users are actually habituated to already knowing that. And in India, we obviously have the benefit as well as the hindsight of learning of experience from Aadhaar. But just an interesting data point that most users who actually had their first financial experience has been because of Aadhaar and opening a bank account. Now, if that's the majority of the users that you need to target, then obviously you need to be able to cater the user journeys to making it easier for those kind of users to onboard, along with the 1% of India, which we're obviously finding in the room. So I think that's been my biggest learning, that with digitization and everything that the government has offered in India, but that's also happening abroad. And in a lot of the foreign countries, while the India playbook is getting implemented, the KYC and the verification flows actually make it easier for us to get the best consumers who've already provided both the intent to deliver value to you as a business as well as to interact with you further, because the non-intentful customers are already dropping out from the onboarding flow. So it actually makes it easier for us product folks.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. I think that's very interesting in terms of data coming in from a lot of sources, which is making it easier. But Megha, I think we were speaking that in your industry, which is insurance, it's a push product, right? So even before customers start filling anything and doing anything, there's a lot of push that happens through different channels, and then you have to tie everything back to ensuring that a customer who is now maybe convinced or maybe at least starting to think is getting converted. So how is it different for you in terms of being a heavy push product through multiple channels, which includes offline as well as digital online channels? If you can just throw some light.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. So very rightly said, it's life insurance is a push product, and nobody gets up in the morning saying, I want to buy insurance, no matter how many big billion festivals or how many discounts we give. And the journey itself is so lengthy. So, the first part is you get the customer on board. But the journey is, we ask about 150 questions, and the regulator does not allow us to even cut down even one. But we are at times where, we have one-click payments. So how do we get a customer who's so used to doing just one or two inputs, and, you have got the product or done the transaction to fill 150 forms, 150 fields. And I think that's where, picking up from what Monica said, we have done a lot of integrations, right from Aadhaar to account aggregators, there's penny testing now. So we've actually successfully got the entire journey shortened to about around 80, 90 questions that we ask. And we have big partners, like we are partners with Airtel Payment Bank, for example. So we know our customers really well there. So we have been able to cut down that journey even shorter to just asking about 10 to 12 questions from the 150 questions. So our idea is, deduce more, ask less. So once we've sorted this part, the earlier one, which channel to communicate or which channel to pick, becomes extremely easy for us, because we've been using multiple, marketing engagement platforms, and don't say marketing automation platforms. We say engagement platforms because I think knowing which channel for which customer is extremely crucial in engaging with the customer rather than just transacting. And I think that has really helped us understand that, which cohort of customer, for which cohort of customer will our channel work, whether it's WhatsApp, email doesn't work for all, SMS doesn't work for all. And there are a whole lot of nuances in that, whether, what's the preferred time to send the message, or, whole lot of analytics, like the whole session is about analytics, I can
Correct.
go on and on, but,
Correct.
there are a lot of platforms, MoEngage being one, where there is a lot of product analytics within the product itself. So for example, I shoot out a campaign, instantly I know which state or which city is doing well, and I can immediately make changes to the CTA or to the content, and I can change the CTRs and see how it's moving. So it's real time, that we make changes to make the communication much more smarter, so that we get the customer through the channel that they prefer, and hence then get the journey done.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. I think this, you talked about channels, but I also think personalization based on where customers are coming from, which kind of cohort. I think that also makes a big impact, is what we have seen. Thanks. Shweta, coming to you, I think you mentioned that, I think a good part of your business is now also on the merchant onboarding, and this is typically the merchants on the lower ticket value sizes, right? And the volumes are very high. So what has been your experience in terms of some of these journeys, onboarding journeys, and improving conversion on those? I'm sure there's a sales force physically going out and trying to get some of these onboarding, but from a product and marketing perspective, what are some of the insights that you have had around this?
Okay, so frankly, the digital journeys are used much more on the consumer side. When I say consumer side, I mean individuals like you and me, than the merchant, which is the Kirana store.
Right.
So although we have a merchant app, and but I would say 99% of the onboarding is still done in the non-digitized world for Kirana stores, and that's not just for Freecharge. It will be true for Bharat Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, everybody. Having said that, there are digital interventions possible even with this target audience. They will not be obviously amenable to, say, an email or a push notification, because God only knows how many of them come on the app and see a push notification. But they are very amenable to getting information on WhatsApp.
Got it.
So every shopkeeper uses WhatsApp, as in the entire India uses WhatsApp. So whatever is the set of information that we send, be it about a new product or about some offer, some discount, and their not really product analytics, but more marketing analytics using vernacular language for different states, for different customer cohorts. All of that comes in play, and that's important for this particular TG. So there are different set of marketing interventions that you can make. It's not as high as on the consumer side, yet when you use the right channel of communication, this segment is amenable to getting
Got it.
information on the digital platforms.
Got it, got it. And on the consumer side, any insights on the onboarding? I think you were saying that there's some simplifications that you worked
So
on.
I think both Monika and Megha spoke about using customer information which you can get or deduce either yourself or get from other partners in a and simplifying the journey.
Right.
So like I was telling you earlier in the session that for the credit or the lending products, one very simple intervention that we have done is that for our existing customers, instead of asking them to input PAN number, that PAN is auto-populated. And that itself has improved drop-off rate in the journey, because that was one huge data point which when you ask the customer to input, there would be a 60-70% drop-off there itself. But when the PAN for existing customers gets auto-populated and using the PAN, like Megha was saying, that you can have, you can reduce a lot of things. Because you can reduce credit worthiness at the first go and hence market the right card or the right personal loan or the right XYZ credit product to this particular customer. And so that's cutting out a step. It's not asking user for information which you can get from, which you either have from your system, and it's then working with the partners in the ecosystem that with that PAN, what other information can you deduce?
Got it, got it. Thank you. Moving on to Nishant, I think slightly tweaking the question since we got a lot of inputs on the onboarding side, but I think every part of your user onboarding or conversion to retention and then renewals, etc., involves journeys, right? Like users have to do set of actions. So what has been that one aha moment for you in terms of insights that maybe was unintuitive or something which you were able to change or tweak to make a much bigger impact?
Okay, I actually would like to add a little bit on what all the ladies have just said. So one thing that has, I think, changed in the last 5 to 6 years dramatically is that 5-6 years back or even 8 years back, all of fintech or financial players in the country were chasing top 15 cities, 25 to 44 men, right? That was primarily the target audience. And I think somewhere in that process, we all got accustomed to what these people want, right? Because there's a certain classification of socioeconomic class or any urban audience only. Today, with the increasing penetration, right? And I think I was seeing some stats 2 days back, and I don't want to quote the wrong number, but the internet penetration is today very, very high, right? The number of people who have a banking journey or any other financial journey online is extremely high. What has that compelled us to do is make the journeys available for all sorts of users. So with nuances for, let's say, insurance as a category, which Megha spoke about, what has happened is that today I have to cater to everybody. So I have people who would come and buy a extremely nuanced product like term insurance, unassisted 100%, will get an issued, product issued, will fill the 26-page proposal form. But I also have agents to support people who are not, let's say, comfortable doing that. Or I even have WhatsApp journeys, people who are comfortable sending it on WhatsApp. The app for Policybazaar can take care of all those integrations. So it's about making sure that we have to be present in terms of the convenience of the customer, and that can be any touch point versus what you want to force fit. So that's one fundamental change that has happened. And in this entire course, right, to answer your question, what we've realized is that people, especially Indians, right? India is an incentive-driven market fundamentally, right? So people would like to change a lot of parameters to see how that impacts their premium, specifically in insurance. So, for example, somebody would come to my platform, put their date of birth, gender, name, the city, their income, etc., and check how that impacts the premium. Now, fundamentally, insurance requires you to ask a lot of questions because those information actually becomes the baseline for which I give you a quote, right? So for example, if you have an income of 25 lakhs and above, there's a calculation that goes behind that income to suggest you a premium.
Right.
Or suggest you a cover rather, sorry. And the premium of course for a 2 crore term insurance would be far higher than the other. So we actually, as a part of one of the journeys, what we did is we identified user patterns of how they change, right? Look at it as a heat map of all kind of nuances the users are playing with the platform, and based on that we were able to nudge the users to give the right input, and that helped us get a lot more number of accurate inquiries. And because of accurate inquiries, it directly impacts operations for us, right? Because like Megha said, it's an exhaustive form. People don't want to fill it. There's a lot of information that you need, and all of those information have a lot of importance, because, and you may not realize that importance today. You may realize that importance 10 years later when in an unfortunate event of a claim, right? And like Megha said, and you also concurred on the fact that insurance is a push category. It's not a pull category. It's a piece of paper which you pay a lot of money for, hoping that you never have to use, right? There's absolutely no gratification around it. So that really helped us to kind of come up the curve, and I think MoEngage did play a very important role in that to help us find those nuances, and based on that, give the right nudge to the user, directly impacting our ops cost, directly impacting the amount of conversions we were able to get. So I think that would be one instance.
Got it. Thank you. I think that part that you mentioned about how users are far wider in terms of segmentation, etc. I think that's very critical. I didn't think of it that way because you think in today's terms, but the systems have been designed for longer time than that, right? I think Megha, coming to you, I think you were also mentioning that there are two ways to automate and make use of all the digital journeys, right? One is using multiple things in silos, maybe trying to find best of each thing, be it each channel or each kind of automation that you want to do, versus aggregating in one place and using the power of all the data in one place. So what if you can just share more thoughts around that, and what benefits have you found by doing that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, just to elaborate, is most of the organizations, and especially in India, for every little aspect, they have different platforms or different, either they buy or they build. And we've been in that space in this organization, my previous organization as well. And the whole idea behind it is basically that I want the best from each vendor. But eventually what happens is, because all of them have their own configurations and they speak their own language, me as a digital product manager or maybe a marketer or a business person, I put in a lot of effort to make sense of what actually all of this is making sense, because all my applications are actually speaking to just one customer. And I never can make sense of what's happening. So we kind of learned the hard way. And at Bharti AXA, we realized that, this is not how it's going to work. And when we onboarded MoEngage, what we did is we changed our entire architecture to ensure that we have one single view of the customer, right from tracking what the customer is doing to sending out what communication to which customer. Everything is now done, or we are in the process of making sure it is done in MoEngage. We have integrated our data lake with MoEngage, which means our marketing team does not have to go to an IT person and say, please, ye cohort ka, take out that data, give it to me, and then I'll go deploy it. That time is cut, that manpower is cut. And immediately, you go to the platform, you take out the segment that you want. It's just a couple of wish list desire that I have to put, male, this age, whatever. I give my criterias and attributes. I can send out a campaign. Now to send out the campaign, I need the creative. Within the platform itself, I can make my own creative. So I have eventually got all my business users to become power users. They do the entire thing on their own. So now they don't have to go to a marketing agency to make their creatives. The creatives are built inside in the dashboard. And with generative AI coming in, and I think Merlin AI is what is called in MoEngage. They've already launched it for the push notifications, and more are coming in. We've recently launched our app. So what happens is I just input that this is the message I want to give, this is the tone, this is the flavor, or various attributes I want, these are the keywords I want. And in seconds, I am getting ready-made creatives, which I can instantly, I think right now that I want to send out a communication, I can send it in the next 5 minutes without going to marketing team or without going, anywhere else. So the entire chain of making a creative, sending the campaigns with the data, also with this entire campaign being integrated with data lake. What is happening is I'm getting the full view. So right now, as I
Right.
said, I right now think I want to send a campaign. I send it, and immediately in seconds I actually get the whole analytics of, okay, I sent it pan India,
Right.
what is happening in different geographies. Each geography also I can take a cut of, okay, what is the gender, which gender is actually interacting, or whatever the behavior is. And I do a whole lot of A/B tests to make sure that maybe this CTA is working for Delhi, this isn't working for
Right.
Bombay. So having all of this together in one platform is not only making our life easier from the technology point of view because of maintenance, but even track for other teams as well. Like I said, marketing, they can do it themselves. And also one very important thing is the dashboards or the tracking of data within the platform. I can have a same campaign, I can make a different dashboard with my goals. A marketing team can make a different dashboard with their goals. Otherwise, what happened, we would send the campaigns here from MoEngage, but I have to go somewhere else and see the analytics. What are the open rates? What are the click rates?
Right.
What was the behavior? So this is how we thought that communication has to be more. The ecosystem has to be built versus plug and play.
Right.
And
Right.
and this is a myth that plug and play is, I won't say myth, but in the long run we realize that yes, plug and play, you can go to market faster, but in the long term you don't really end up meeting the larger targets that you have.
Right, right. Got it. Shweta, I think I'll come to you in terms of on the consumer side. Obviously, it's a very wide business for you, and you also mentioned that team runs a lot of experiments, a lot of analytics in terms of journeys, and I think you're sharing some examples. So if you can share some examples of what kind of analytics is leveraged and how some of these journeys have been tweaked based on that, making a good impact across channels, etc. That will really help.
Sure. So let me take a couple of examples because you can go really deep into analytics and make and fine tune the campaign as much as possible. One is the automated workflows which marketing campaign tools like MoEngage and others in the market provide. So how you use that analytics is that you see the entire drop off at each point of the customer journey or the product journey. And then you have specific interventions for different drop offs. What I mean to say is that suppose if a customer is dropping off in the earlier part of the journey, maybe the communication strategy that you apply is more low cost, like push notification or SMS. And if the customer is dropping off in the later part of the journey, then you could probably apply a call center agent to call him or her, because he's deeper in the journey and the chances of conversion are much higher. So that is one area of simple drop-off triggers, automated triggers. What point is the customer dropping off at leads to a different communication channel. The other, some of the others spoke about, they didn't really use this word, but they spoke about testing different campaigns, different customer cohorts. So this is true a decade ago, but now has become more par for the course. You do A/B testing on everything to figure out what is working better for which platform, which customer cohort, etc. So I'll give you an example specifically about a product called Pay Later from Freecharge, where we realized that across customer cohorts, the app journey was performing far better than our journey on M-Site for whatever reason. And that led to the decision that all the paid campaigns pointed to app download and the app journey. So this is where we used product analytics to figure out, okay, this is the platform which is working better for a particular product. Yeah.
Got it. And I mean, from a tech stack perspective, or how your team is able to leverage a lot of these insights, if you can just give a brief sense of like how you have set up this the entire stack from an insights or analytics generation to communication to review and experimentation. Just a brief on what is working for you in that sense.
So, what what any company would do is, and whether they use a comprehensive tool like MoEngage, which will have the campaign execution as well as the campaign analytics within that tool, or you use different tools, something for campaign execution and something else for analytics, which obviously talk to each other and give you a full report. So whatever methodology or tool that you may use, I think at Freecharge or elsewhere, marketing professionals, day in and day out, this is what the growth guys do, that they first figure out a customer cohort, depending on that, on a particular product. And like Megha mentioned, it's no longer the days of asking business analytics team to give you that specific segment. Most of the time the pipes are built so that you can pull the customer cohort and a specific customer segment yourself as a marketing professional. You lead from there, you take out a couple of different cohorts. You can have a control group within that to do A/B testing. You figure out your communication channel, you make the creatives, whether you use an agency, an in-house designer, or use generative AI, you finally figure out the creative. And then you shoot out the specific campaign. And like Megha mentioned, that the minute you shoot out that's not the end, that's the start of the campaign, because after that your work starts on figuring out what worked and, more importantly, what didn't work. You can tweak the message, you can try different vernacular languages, you can try tweaking the CTA. Sometimes a campaign will give you insights as to if a specific platform is working or not, etc. So this work is continuous, as in every time you do a campaign, the pre-thinking, the actual work of designing the campaign, the execution, and the follow-up, analytics work happens on a day in and day out basis.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Monica, coming to you, I think, a lot of discussions around insights and leveraging them. I think you also work with a lot of marketers in coaching and, building capabilities and skills. So what has been your view in terms of, some of this experimentation and where marketers can, focus or channelize their energies better?
I'm going to be the naysayer in the room, but I think it's a co-joint thing between marketers and product. I feel that where marketing ends is where product begins, and the other way around. And unfortunately, I've been a product manager, so I'm going to be siding on the side of how product should be driving all this. But again, taking a step back, actually what we are hearing now from what marketing is telling us is the ability to have tools to be able to, first of all, create the kind of campaigns that they want, but you have to ask the question why, and that's what product does really well. So just listening to what the others are telling me right now, if there are campaigns that need to get created to get or attract more customers, the question is what kind of customers are we trying to attract? How do we want to engage with them? And which are our customers who we need to onboard? Now, the fact of the matter is that the internet penetration is right now growing higher in rural India than it is in urban India. And when we think about marketing, we think about the impact on the revenue and therefore what kind of customers we are bringing in. But as a product person, especially a good product person, is probably going to tell you that a person who engages from a rural audience needs to be able to go up the ladder in terms of the value chain and proposition. Therefore, the proposition has to be treated differently. So if I'm running a campaign, ideally I would be running my campaign on those top 1%, 2%, maybe even 10% of the users. But we have to go a little bit behind. And this is where, instead of looking at things in terms of campaigns and therefore the success of the campaign, we have to look from the product lens, what is this doing for our end customer? And if I'm able to derive my next set of roadmap items from what I'm finding from these product/customer journeys, which are either broken or can be tweaked. So a marketer will tell me, oh, this is really working well, but I need to figure out why is it working well. And it's like having an airplane, wherever their shots are fired, obviously I'm not going to be able to focus on that. I don't really care. I just want to focus how can I optimize further. And I feel that tools, especially campaign management tools, are just the surface of the ocean, because what lies beneath is what we need to understand. And that I feel as an overall, I would think as an ecosystem, we have to learn to get better at. Generative AI solves some of the problems, but why does it solve those problems? Because it just makes it easier. But who are we ultimately aiming this for? And that is what we are not going behind, which I think no matter whether it's a build or a buy solution, the product managers and especially the business owners have to ask themselves, how can we leverage it better so you build in better campaigns for us?
Yes, got it. Thank you. Since I think we are at the end of time, Nishant, just one last quick round for you. I think experimentation, AI, generative came a lot. How are you looking at leveraging it? I think you generally obviously are very excited to try anything new, but in general for you, generative AI, what does it mean if you have to give us like 2 minutes?
So I think there's lots of use cases that we have, right? Like for example, I think see one thing about our industry is that we are regulated, right? So we can't say anything we want to, right? Unfortunately, right? We'd like to say a lot of things, but there's a little bit of restriction there.
Yes.
Knife on the neck is better aptly put, I think.
Correct.
But anyway, I think generative AI, what it does is that it now, of course, we have very simple use cases from a marketing standpoint where we try and understand what kind of copies can we put out there for app notifications or even WhatsApp or any other channels. And these platforms like simple chat GPT use cases are trained well enough to accommodate copies for certain platform if the brief is right. So it's all about input and output. So the first important thing is input. If we've got the input right, that's very important. Second thing that we're trying to do is that we're trying to do a lot of alphas and betas, of course, with partners and even in-house, because we have an advanced tech team within Policybazaar. What we're trying to do is that there are a lot of, so we are a call center operations-driven company, right? And I think pretty infamous for that too. But the fact is that a lot of people also want to browse at their convenience, and we want to be present for them at that point. Problem with typical AI is that it gives you internet answers, right? And that may not, be the right answer for the product and the nuance of what you're looking for at that point.
Right.
And that's where what we are working on today is we are looking at Gen AI to kind of take care of that, because it's a model that we feed, and we are also creating a model that can help us give the consumer the right answer based on the input that they've given. So, and I'll take one simple example, right? So, for example, I mean, this may be a bad example, but let's say somebody wants to buy a term insurance with, let's say, somebody who has diabetes, right? And the query that they put is, can I buy a term insurance if I have diabetes? That answer maybe AI can give you because that information may be available, right? But let's say somebody puts a specific question regarding the same thing, that I have diabetes, my score on glucose is X on my report, and which insurer supports a diabetic term plan.
Yeah.
That is where Gen AI kicks in for
Correct.
us, right? And that's
Correct.
the nuance that we're trying to build in-house. And of course, we have many tools. So for example, we're also using Gen AI now on certain use cases. For example, simple, transcripting, for example, call center point of view, it's very, very simple. It's available in abundance, right? But deriving a summary out of that transcript is another version that we could look at from a Gen AI perspective. So,
Right.
I mean, these are some top use cases that I could think of, but
Got it.
yeah, that's how
Thank you.
we're using it.
No, I think as you mentioned, right? I think ChatGPT and some of these wider AI engines are obviously nice to look at, and like a lot of you can experiment a lot with it as an individual, but as an organization, I think how you are able to customize some of these open engines to your requirement, I think that's becoming one of the key things. And Merlin AI that we have built is actually exactly solving that. And so I was just demoing this, saying that Merlin AI will now generate content. Now the next question that comes from customers is, okay, now can it decide the audience also sometime later, and then can it also decide the channel? So I think eventually, like all of us will be jobless at some day.
I think it's all part of the trend. We're all jumping on that wagon. But
Yes.
I think with Merlin AI, what you guys have done is good because it kind of proofs it. I was refraining from saying dumb proofs it, but it gives you exactly what you expect, right? It's
Correct.
like I know a bad example to this would be SEO, right? Like in SEO, there is an insurance keyword, but within insurance, the same keyword can have multiple implications. So one could have transactional intent, the other could have, let's say, a research intent, the third could have a commercial intent, can be anything, right?
Right.
And that intent, if given as a right input, something what you do on Merlin AI, right? Like I got a demo just this morning, so I was pretty impressed by the fact that you can tell it that what kind of tone do you want? Do you want
Right.
a transacting tone? Do you want to create an urgency or whatever the use cases are available? Then that makes it easier because the brief therefore is very clear, and that I think is a bit of what you guys have been able to crack, right?
Right.
Because AI can be used well, right? The only way that AI can give you a good output is when the input is extremely accurate, and
Correct.
that's something that most people or companies fail.
Struggle. Correct. Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. It just passed, the time passed very quickly, but a lot of good insights. Thank you.